Hello, my name is Jose Arteaga, and today I'm going to talk about the organization of our concept map. We started by structuring the map around the four citizenship rights: civil, political, social, and cultural, because they represent the historical and conceptual foundation of any form of citizenship. Each right includes its origin, purpose, and examples, helping us understand how the idea of citizenship has expanded over time. From there, we connected with the key concepts of identity, cultural, national, and global. Since citizenship cannot be understood without identity, we added specific examples such as the Colombian context to show how these levels relate to education and to people's sense of belonging. At the center, we place the core idea: diversity, group identity, and citizenship education in a global age. This serves as the link between rights, identity, and education. From this central point, two main branches emerge. On one side, education's role in connecting citizenship and identity, and on the other, the four levels of citizenship: legal, minimal, active, and transformative. Each level was organized from the lowest to the highest degree of participation, showing a progression from basic legal belonging to transformative action capable of driving real social change. Finally, the right side of the map highlights how education fosters democratic values, inclusion, social responsibility, and critical thinking, all essential to forming active and conscious citizens. We organized the map in a hierarchical and logical way, moving from rights and identity towards citizenship in action and the role of education, emphasizing how all these elements are interconnected.
Hello, my name is Dalma Arias. In this case, I am going to talk about the relationship between the different concepts mentioned in the James Bank document. This document argues that today's society must expand its ideals to recognize and include the importance of different human rights, which can be grouped into collective and individual rights, and these in turn into cultural, civil, political, and social rights, which seek to recognize the ethnic, cultural, and linguistic diversity of the different population that can be found in the same community, since it doesn't depend only on belonging but also on being. So, according to Goodman, in the democratic society, civic equality and recognition are important values. Similarly, it criticizes the liberal assimilationist model, which requires the loss of cultural identities in order to be considered part of the nation. But in this regard, it proposes a multicultural education that promotes inclusion, recognition, and social justice for all, regardless of their origin. Since, due to immigration and the diversity of any group, it is necessary to incorporate an important term that is mentioned throughout the text, which is equality above all else. That is an important element for coexisting in society. Therefore, globalization and migration make it necessary to reform educational policies in order to value differences and strengthen full participation in increasingly diverse societies. Since the traditional liberal views promote assimilation, suggesting that minorities should abandon their cultures in order to integrate into the national culture. However, the document argues that truly democratic citizenship must include the equality of all people and therefore allow for the preservation of diverse identities. That is why, as I mentioned earlier, one of the solutions being considered is to reform the curriculum, methods, and educational policies to reflect plurality and thus promote the desired equality.
Hello everyone, my name is Carlos Eduardo Guerrero, and today I'm going to explain how education connects citizenship and identity through real-world examples. Education plays a key role in promoting democratic values and inclusion because it teaches us to respect diversity and participate actively in society. A clear example of this is the peace education programs in Colombia, where students learn to solve conflicts peacefully, value differences, and build coexistence through dialogue and empathy. Education also links personal identity with civic action. School help us understand who we are, our culture, our values, and our experience, how that connect to our responsibility as citizens. For instance, in Colombia, ethno-education for Afro-Colombian and indigenous communities allows the students to preserve their tradition and language while participating in projects that improve their local communities. This shows how identity becomes a source of civic engagement and pride. Education builds inclusive and critical citizenship. It encourages students to think critically, reflect on social problems, and act for justice and equality. A good global example is when students take part in environmental or climate change campaigns. Through these projects, they learn that being a citizen means not only belonging to a nation but also caring for the planet and for all around the world. Education is more than transmission of knowledge. It's a powerful bridge that connects identity, values, citizenship, preparing us to create fair, more inclusive, and democratic societies.
Hey there, I am Brian Martinez and I'm going to talk about teaching English in multicultural contexts. First, it is really important to respect students' cultural backgrounds. As you know, every student has a different story, accent, and a way of thinking. So, for those reasons, we as a teacher we need to take that into account. For example, in Colombia, we have indigenous and Afro-Colombian urban students. When teachers respect those differences, the students feel accepted and want to learn. Second, we should use diverse material. An example, we can use sometimes English books about British or American life and history, but we can also use stories, songs, or situations from other cultures, even from our own, including the English in every single thing. This helps students, understand that English is a global language that connects many cultures and not just one. Third, it's important to connect English with real life culture. We can talk about food, music, tradition, or local experiences. When English lessons include the real things from students' life, learning becomes more meaningful. Also, we need to encourage empathy and equality. Students must learn to listen, to respect others, and to see diversity as something positive. For instance, when they work together, it's great because they can learn from each other and exchange feedback and knowledge. And finally, teach for communication, not perfection. The goal is to spread ideas and connect with people, not sound perfect or as a native speaker. Communicate is what we want. Therefore, teaching English in a multicultural context means helping students communicate, respect differences, and see language as a way to bridges between cultures. It could be a challenge, so we need to be prepared for that. That is all, and thank you for listening.